This is a freaking awesome book. Like for someone just starting their healing journey, this is such an awesome place to start to ground yourself, to really remember who the truth of you is, because like through trauma you forget who you are and you lose the sense of who you are. So this book literally will reshape the way you see yourself, and mental health is all about that. Is like how you perceive yourself will change the way you see the world. Alrighty, so hi, welcome back to another video. This is Nicholas Blooms. I'm bringing on my friend Kim, who just released her new book, wonderful, beautiful book that is just so beautiful and handy. I love it so much. It's called Living in the Power of My Energetic Signature. It has Enneagram, astrology, and the chakras. Yep. Kim, if you want to flip through while I talk about it, it's so awesome. So it has it will literally break it down for you if this is your first initiation into the spiritual path, because healing is not linear. It is a constant circle and back and forth dance from your trauma into your authentic self, or your soul self, basically. And there you go. Like, it will show you and walk you through the different elements that astrology has, like the earth, the fire, the air, and water, which will give you a description and the flavor of it and how to tune into it by pulling up your birth chart and seeing the different placements you have in your birth chart, so that you can actually tune in. And then there's also chakras to see what energy centers need some tweaking to help you step into your power a little bit more. Like, for example, your solar plexus, if you feel powerless, that's somewhere you can bring in more of that yellow color to really enhance, like, oh, yes. And we got the Enneagram, which will be a more grounding essence, in a sense that, if you're like a detransitioner like me, and I was ungrounded as a kid. I didn't know who I was, and trauma messed me up to the point where I forgot who I was. Well, the Enneagram one, in discovering who you were, will allow you to work towards, oh, I can show up in the world this way. I don't have to, oh, people please. I don't have to make myself small. I can actually, use the reformer energy in a way that will serve me and the world as well. So you get to see your weaknesses and your strengths both at the same time through accessing these charts and energy systems. So there's also oh my God, what was the last thing called? Human design, where we're talking about energy and we're talking about how you use your energy, how you approach life. And I, as a generator, I can totally feel when my energy is not being used correctly. Like, say something's frustrating me, like I'm trying to create something but it's frustrating me. That's when I know I need to pause, step back, and come back when I feel more in the flow and satisfied place. So just tuning into your energy, just learning about these things will help you shift your life dramatically to live more empowered, live more energized, live more freely, instead of this mental shackle that we've taught ourselves to put ourselves into. So without further ado, I want Kim to talk about how this came to be, what her inspiration was, and what led to her to create this book.
Honestly, what caused me to create it was clients. So I'm a relational soul coach. And in my process of how can I help someone recognize all their amazingness, and when we've gone through life and we've been through relationships and had hard times, or maybe even abuse or trauma, you just don't have a strong sense of who you are. And I found that grounding in a sense of self is kind of ground zero. It's the foundation from which we can begin to really work together. So this book helps you get to your place of strength so that you can look at some of the pain that you've endured. We don't want to look at your pain from your pain. We want to look at your pain from a place of strength. And I help you do that, but this book really helps you do that. And so that's what it really came from. And I have found when I walk people through understanding their Enneagram, understanding their astrology elements, that's what I look at, is the elements: your fire, your earth, your water, and your air. Because sometimes when you take on astrology or even Enneagram or chakras, it just kind of seems too big. So I bring it in a way where it's super understandable, and maybe just you're not honoring your earth energy and you need some structure. Or maybe you're not honoring your fire and you haven't been engaging in those activities that really stoke your fire. Maybe you've been in your head too much. That's air energy, and you need to drop into your intuition, the positive aspect of your air energy. And then maybe you haven't been feeling your emotions, and that is water, and you need to get in touch with your emotions and feel them. And it's really important to feel your emotions in a healthy way. And I definitely help lead people through that. So that's kind of in a nutshell what it does. But I thought it'd be fun to talk to you, Nicholas, about you told me that just the other day you really needed to get the book out and look at your Enneagram again, your Enneagram again, to remember aspects of yourself because you have a perfectionist within. Now, again, there's 9 Enneagram types, and we've gone through the process together, Nicholas and I, and he discovered that he is a 1, and that is called the reformer. And one of the, a perfectionist can be positive, but it can also go into a weakness. And so talk a little bit about how that worked for you and how just grabbing this book and remembering who you are helped you.
Alrighty. So yesterday I was really feeling it. Like I was like, oh my God, I need a little extra help. Cause I can totally tune in to like this wound that's like, oh my God, there's something wrong with my art. They're like, no one's gonna like it. Those thoughts, those negative thoughts are like, oh my God. But we need to listen to them. We need to tune into them. We need to ask them what's going on. We need to acknowledge them. And because there's also this wounded part of me that's like, oh, it's hard to feel. I don't want to feel. It's like there's 2 layers to that. So opening up this book to the reformer Enneagram 1, I felt led to look at it for a second just to like ground myself a little bit more. Like what tools can I use to work through this, to feel with my my wounded selves and really get in touch with them. And there's this place where reformer positive intentions part of the book right here.
Ooh.
I flipped to that page, and the first thing it says is relax and practice patience. And then in the parentheses, it says your soul self loves you always and has love for your so-called imperfections and imperfections of others. So immediately I was like, oh, this is exactly what I need to hear because my soul can totally love on this part. My mind was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to heal this. I don't know how to do this, do that with this pain. But like hearing those words to be like, oh, my soul can love this part of me for me. Okay, let's just let that happen. Let's see that, oh, this part is lovable. This imperfection part of me is lovable because my wounded self is like, oh, I need to make myself perfect. I need to do this perfectly. But it's like, what if we could love on both the imperfect and the perfect? That is not right or wrong. It's just how it is. And let's just sit with it and dance with it. So that was really helpful to just have that, just a little sentence to just shift me into relaxing into love. So that was awesome.
Yeah. So what I heard you say is that it gave you an empowered perspective because before, like the mind comes up with these thoughts of you have to be perfect. That's the ego. You have to be perfect. But your soul self has all this love and compassion for this aspect of you that says, I must be perfect. So if you realize, like, oh my gosh, I have a soul self that has love and compassion for this part of me, it changes everything. Now
Mhm.
you don't have to live by or identify with this voice that the ego is saying. And then you don't have to be trapped by imperfection. So
Uh,
I love that you could go there and be reminded. And I personally too, literally my own book, it's my favorite book myself because I was just at a retreat this weekend. And so I was rooming with someone that I had never met before. And she's an Enneagram 9 and I'm an Enneagram 4. And we could see where like her weaknesses were kind of triggering mine. But we were on a spiritual retreat. And so we were more invested in understanding each other. And we pulled out the book, and there it was. and we could see where her weakness was triggering my weakness. And we could just look at each other and we realized like, we don't have to make each other wrong. We can just acknowledge, okay, my weakness was triggered. And I can just be with that. And I can love you even with your weakness. And she could love me with my weakness. That's where this can come in really handy with partners, friendships. I mean, it's amazing because when you understand who you are, you don't have to make each other wrong anymore. You can help each other.
It's powerful. The other part that was like, oh my God, how did I like it? Like, sometimes like all this stuff is great information, but it's so easy to have it slip your mind because there's just so much information, you know? So the thing that like this book does is like it just brings back this small little nuggets that you're like, oh my God, that's totally true. Like, oh my God, I forgot about this. Let me bring this into my practice. Like this, let me bring this into my thoughts, you know? And just even the simple sentence of please, no, pause, take a deep breath, let your soul self come forward. And that to me was like, oh, you know, my soul self can just observe this and I don't need to attach to it, you know, like I don't need to be the wounded thoughts. I can just be like, oh, you know, these thoughts are here, this emotion's here, and just acknowledging it in that way. Just so having this book handy dandy, you can just grab it and then you can just remind yourself of who you are is just so powerful. So we can like step out of identifying with our emotions, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Feel the emotions, but we don't need to identify.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
amazing. Thank you. It's just been so fun to create it and offer it. And I'm going to use the heck out of it with every client and probably recommend every single client of mine get it.
Girl,
It's just so valuable.
this is going to go in my tote bag everywhere I go, so I can just pull it up and be like, "You're a reflector," which I'll probably never find.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some areas too for you can fill in your strengths and weaknesses.
I like
It's
the
good. It's really
pictures.
good. And then I call them quick access tools. Witness your weaknesses. So
Beautiful.
yeah, there you go. There it is.
Well, thank you,
Woohoo!
Pam. It was so awesome to receive this gift. I'm grateful that this world is receiving this gift that you created, and I'm happy that you listened to your intuition that led you to creating this book. Like, thank you for showing up. It just means a lot that this is a gift to the world, and I hope more people can receive it. The description or the link to this book will be in the description below. So check it out, and once you buy it, give it a review.
Thank you. Bye.